I didn't think it was going to get as ugly as it has got in New England, but 3 points through the last 2 weeks, that's pretty ugly. That's pretty damn miserable. I didn't think it was going to get worse than a season where you literally don't have an offensive coordinator and you can't score points to gain a guy who at one point at least was a well-respected offensive coordinator and you score even less points. It's disgusting right now. And Mac Jones, I know you were never high on him. I didn't love him coming into the league, especially when the possibility of him being a 49er was on the table. But as I sit here today in 2023 and look at Mac Jones, I am so glad he's not in San Francisco. What say you, Kyle?
Well, I mean, the guy the 49ers ended up with didn't turn out much better, so I don't know exactly how thrilled or not thrilled you are with the Mac Jones Trey Lance experiment.
I don't know what would have been the result. Now, Dan Orlovsky actually had a thing today that said if Mac Jones was in the Niners offense, he'd be doing what Brock Purdy's doing. But through 3 seasons of seeing Mac Jones, I don't know if I trust that guy, even in this loaded offense for the 49ers. He just kind of at this point is striking me, for lack of better words, as a punk. I mean, you go to all the situations where people keep calling him a dirty player, the Sauce Gardner thing from a couple weeks ago. And then there was a source close to Mac Jones that was saying, well, even the best cook with the worst ingredients can't cook, right? So you hear stuff like that, and you just start to question whether or not this guy really has the heart for it anymore. And maybe New England just beat him down. Who knows? Maybe New England just beat him down over the course of 3 years. Tom Brady was a different breed. He could handle the beating. You've talked about it in many of the books you've read about the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era. He was able to take a lot of that beating from Bill Belichick. But through 3 seasons, Mac can't take it. He can't take New England. And I think if you're New England, you can't take any more Mac Jones. Whether it's Bailey Zappi or something, they just need to make a change.
So I think you made a pretty good point there where, yes, they did not support Mac Jones very well, in part because they didn't give him an offensive coordinator. They gave him Matt Patricia. Maybe if McDaniels had stayed for all 3 years, it would have looked different. Also, this was circulating on Monday Night Football when Jacoby Myers was going off for the Raiders, that Jacoby Myers and Juju Smith-Schuster got the exact same contracts. And Jacoby Myers, who for like weeks couldn't find the end zone with the Patriots, is now flourishing as a wide receiver 2 on the Raiders, while Juju Smith-Schuster has basically no stats this season for the Patriots. So like the Patriots signed Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, traded a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu, signed Juju Smith-Schuster. They've just failed at every turn to provide skill position players for Mac Jones and didn't give him a coordinator. At the same time, Mac Jones was never going to light up the league if he had been given proper assistance. Like I said during the preseason and stand by it still, like Mac Jones is a quarterback whose game is predicated on accuracy, and he's not an accurate quarterback, and he turns the ball over a lot. Like that's kind of a problem when that's what your game is built on. And it's the old Dennis Green joke, they are what we thought they were. Blake Jude, my friend who's an NFL draft scout, had Mac Jones graded as a 3rd-round prospect. Mac Jones is playing like a 3rd-round prospect. Someone like a Kenny Pickett, who was graded as a 3rd-rounder. Someone like a Drew Lock, who was graded as a 3rd-rounder. That's what Mac Jones is performing like. It's just the hype machine that came around Mac Jones maybe being the 3rd pick and the Niners potentially trading 3 first-round picks for him. And then him being the replacing the guy who's replacing the guy in New England with Tom Brady. Like everything around Mac Jones just got all out of control. The expectations were set in the wrong place. And now he's kind of a disappointment just because of where the expectations were set. But he hasn't been a terrible NFL quarterback. He's been a good starter. And once you have to pay him $25 million, we would prefer not to.
I mean, can we talk about those expectations a little bit? Because if you're a Patriots fan, especially if you're a new generation's Patriots fan, basically our age, you got used to watching Tom Brady and Bill Belichick for 20 years. So to see Mac Jones out there is infuriating. To see a below average quarterback just trotting out there week after week and no definitive answers coming to his aid, because I just don't see the recourse in this season for the Patriots. And I think that we're currently in blow up mode because, okay, they're 1-4, right? I'm trying to find wins on the calendar for them. And I am struggling to find wins for this Patriots team. It's very bleak because when you talk about going through this last stretch of games and scoring, again, 3 points, 3 points, they cannot sustain a drive. Their defense is beat up. They're dog tired because they're just out there on the field the majority of the game, like 90% of the game, it feels like, because 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I'm sure you saw the memes circulating of the stat of how many pick sixes Mac Jones has thrown in his young career versus Brady in the entirety of his career. Just appalling. And this is, heck, even worse than the Cam Newton solo year we got in New England, because the offense at least had moments of excitement. This is a boring, generic, tired offense that it just hurts my eyes to watch as a football fan. I peeked into this game and I regretted every second I saw Saints versus Patriots on my TV. It was a bad experience to watch. Like, it gave me trauma watching that game. I almost lost hope. And then my team decided to put up 42 on Sunday Night Football. And then all that hope was regained, of course.
So the Patriots this season feel like a good example of the genius of Bill Belichick and the faults of Bill Belichick. And Bomani Jones made a great joke that was basically like, if you want to know how long 20 years of dominance as a head coach buys you, it's 3 years and 4 weeks. That's how much being a great head coach buys you in the NFL. But look, the New England Patriots have not been top 20 in the NFL in offensive DVOA since Cam Newton's first game as a Patriot, since week 1 of 2020. That was the last time New England was ranked top 20 in the NFL on offense. And so what's interesting for the Patriots right now is that for years, they were able to sustain success despite never having a good offense. It was the Patriots back in 2021, Mac Jones's first season, that made the playoffs. Remember that? They made the playoffs. They gave up 45 points to the Buffalo Bills, but they did make the playoffs that year. And
they did have Pro Bowl Mac Jones, I should add.
Last year, oh yeah, that's right. Pro Bowl Mac Jones right there with Pro Bowl Tyler Huntley, right?
Pro Bowl,
both of them were in the Pro. Yeah, exactly. They were bottom 20 in the league, but still had a Pro Bowl quarterback, which is just because 10 people said no. But what's interesting is that last year, even though the Patriots finished 8-9, they were top 5 in the league in defensive DVOA until about the last couple weeks of the season. And that defense was made up of like Jabril Peppers and guys who were cut by the Miami Dolphins, and they still had a top 5 defense. And the reason you're seeing such a fallback this year is, one, the offense has not improved. In fact, the offense has gotten a little bit worse from last year. And 2, everyone on that defense is hurt for the Patriots. Just injuries decimating across the team. And because the defense isn't able to get stops, you're seeing 71 to 3 point margins over the last 2 weeks, 2 of the worst losses of Bill Belichick's career. And in SRS ranking, which is, again, if you take every team in the league, pit them against a league average opponent on a neutral field, what would their point spread be? Patriots would be 13-point underdogs right now and 30th out of 32 teams in the league. This team is not good. It doesn't have the talent to compete. But in fairness, they didn't have either of those things the last 3 years. This is just kind of a grossly exaggerated version of what the Patriots have been since Tom Brady's departure.
Okay, let's talk recourse here, because again, this is close, if not at teardown mode. So yeah, Bill Belichick here. And Bill Belichick, he's been the head coach / general manager for years now. He's established himself as both the cook and the guy who goes out and does his own grocery shopping. Well, he's bad at picking the groceries on offense. I'll still give him defense, because you looked at what Christian Gonzalez was doing before he got hurt. Christian Gonzalez was a stud. Matthew Judon, free agent pickup. Matthew Judon, before he got hurt, was a stud. Moving off J.C. Jackson a year early, great decision. Offensively, you mentioned it. Kendrick Bourne, letting Jacoby Myers walk, a Devontae Parker, a whole mesh of talented wide receiver threes just getting thrown into the offense and being expected to flourish as wide receiver ones. That's kind of what the Patriots have turned into with Bill Belichick running the offensive search for weapons. I think that needs to change. If we're going to continue to keep the Patriots, Bill Belichick marriage together, that needs to change. And maybe it starts with an ultimatum season. Bill, we love you. We don't want to move on. We don't want to end this partnership, but it's time. You have to cede some control. And Bill Belichick, we know that he's established himself as the greatest coach of all time. He's earned his ego. But if Bill can't take that ultimatum and kind of accept that this is the place they're in, then that's when the Patriots have to force his hand and say, all right, Bill, you don't want a GM? Well, guess what? You're retiring. But no, Mr. Kraft, I'm not ready to retire. No, Bill, you're retiring. Bob, I'm not ready to retire. Bill, you're retiring. And that's what the conversation needs to be, because if Bill can't accept that he needs a GM at this point, then you need to start looking for options outside of Bill Belichick as the head coach of the New England Patriots. And I mentioned a trade possibility, something crazy. I threw it by you guys in the group chat, but I'm going to throw it out here again. I look at the Los Angeles Chargers right now, and I have been hypercritical of Brandon Staley. They are a head coach away. They have one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now in Justin Herbert in terms of sheer talent. They have offensive playmakers on the field. They have a defense that has been underperforming for years. Why not get the greatest defensive mind in football history to go reshape your locker room? And the offense, you can figure it out. Hell, keep Kellen Moore there to call plays. Kellen Moore, Bill Belichick, added together. That sounds pretty awesome to me. If I'm the Chargers right now, what can I offer? Hey, Patriots, you want Austin Eckler? Hey, Patriots, you want a first-round draft pick, a second-round draft pick? We'll make it happen. We need a coach. You have a coach. Let's make it happen. I think the Chargers should trade for Bill Belichick.
So here's where this is going to fall apart. Not specifically the Chargers thing, but just the idea of moving on from Bill Belichick. One, Bill Belichick is too good for that job. Bill Belichick is too good for going to be the coach of the Chargers with Kellen Moore. Now, if Kellen Moore wants to go be the offensive coordinator of the Patriots, now we could have a conversation. But I don't think that's going to happen with the Chargers. Bill Belichick has this job security because the odds of them finding another Bill Belichick are so astronomically small that you have to have so much gall to think that you can do it again. And it doesn't even have to be Bill Belichick in terms of the levels of success. We will probably never see anything like Kansas City's going to try, but we will probably never see anything quite like what New England was and what New England built pre-Tom Brady, during Tom Brady's prime, and then the back end of Tom Brady where they still managed to win 2 championships without an MVP level Tom Brady. I guess Tom Brady won an MVP the year they lost the Eagles. So like 1 championship, non-MVP Tom Brady. And they are not going to be able to find something as good as what Bill Belichick is. And so that's the quagmire that they find themselves in. The odds of trying to replace the Patriot way are so difficult and so astronomical that they might just keep digging their heels in for more seasons. And I don't think that anything will change. I don't think there's real recourse there. They are invested in Belichick. Robert Kraft is a smart owner. Robert Kraft knows where his bread is buttered and where it has been for years now. He's never had a good relationship with Bill Belichick, and yet Bill Belichick delivers the results, and Robert Kraft knows what he has there. If they try and move on from him, we know they're not going to be able to find another Bill Belichick, right? There's not a whole lot of talent that makes this job appealing. No one wants to be the guy who replaces the guy, right? No one wants that. No one wants to be the guy who replaces the guy.
That's literally where the Patriots find themselves in, with Mac Jones replacing Tom Brady. I mean, no, there was Cam Newton in between, but replacing Tom Brady. But you mentioned an interesting statement there where Robert Kraft knows that his bread is buttered. The bread is Bill Belichick. The butter was Tom Brady. You are out of butter, and you've been trying to replace it with that. I can't believe it's not butter crap. That's what Mac Jones has been. You've been trying to put some margarine on that piece of toast for years, and it turns out you're just smushing it into the dough. You're just kind of like breaking apart that piece of bread. At this point, I just don't think that Bill is going to ever find himself in a position to get another Tom Brady, right? Which, again, that's 1,000,000 to 1 shot in itself, right? The fact that they were able to get Tom Brady where they did, happy accident, pick 199. We know the story. We know the fairy tale. But their only option at this point, realistically, is to land themselves in the top 5 of an NFL draft, which I guess you would say they're on pace for this season, right? 1-4, they can find themselves well within striking opportunity at a franchise quarterback, should it present itself, whether that's in the form of Drake May, because I just don't see them being bad enough to get Caleb Williams. When I look around and see the other states of other bad teams around the league, and yes, I think Mac Jones is a bad quarterback. Yes, I don't think Bailey Zappi is going to be a huge improvement, but with the heart and soul of what is a Belichick team, the do your job culture, I think it's still going to produce at least, 3 more wins this year. I'm struggling to find wins, but I'm sure there's going to be 3 more wins this year, whether that's beating the Jets again, or some late November game that we're not expecting and they sneak up on someone. It's going to happen. So I just don't see them getting a Caleb. Why mention again the Belichick trade is we know Belichick is great when he has a great quarterback. I need to get him another great quarterback. And if he wants to pass Shula, if he wants to end up as the all-time winningest coach in NFL history for his career, I think he should also kind of want to change as well. I know that there's the allure of the power that he has in New England, but even that's fading. I'm sure he reads the press. Bill Belichick will never tell you to your face that he reads the press, but he reads the press clippings. He knows what's going on in the world. He knows how people are viewing him ever since Tom Brady left and won a Super Bowl himself. And I think that he needs to retake the momentum. And the only way for him to do that is just to find a new pathway. I think finding a new pathway through finding another franchise quarterback, whether that's in New England or elsewhere, is the only opportunity for Bill Belichick moving forward.
I'm so interested by how these dynasties end, just because there's no clean way for these things to go, right? For every story of the Spurs, the Bulls, the Lakers, the Broncos, there's no clean way for these things to end. And you can just be wandering in the desert for years waiting for these things to sort themselves out. For the Patriots at this point, like, you need to fall into a rebuild. You need to retool this thing, but they were just so sustainable for so long that it's weird to say those words. And I can't fancy a coach on the market that would be more of a sure thing to turn this thing around than Bill Belichick. I mean, it's like with Popovich and the Spurs, right? Like, the Spurs know to keep Popovich around. They know the value that he adds. The problem is the players on the team. Power dynamics are what they are. And I think we're just going to ride this out until Bill Belichick has decided he doesn't want to keep doing it anymore.
This is where we need you to weigh in. What do you think is the future for the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick specifically? How do they rebuild given where they currently stand? Or heck, maybe you're one of those people still riding with Mac. I know you're still out there. We want to hear from you as well. Go ahead and leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all our social medias. From Juju and Kyle, stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you next time.